Another hack I've got for you is the 2-minute rule. Basically, this means if something is hanging over your head and it's going to take less than 2 minutes, do it now. Our brain can only take so many mindless tasks swimming around, and you can imagine the mindless tasks take. Hi there, and a warm welcome to the Habit Nerd podcast. I'm Dr. Bree Hearn, host and general nerd about all things habits. Over my 20 plus years working as a writer, educator, researcher, keynote speaker, and coach, I've realized that habits influence everything from our health to our productivity and even our relationships. It was Aristotle, in fact, who said we become what we repeatedly do. On this podcast, you'll learn from inspiring experts as they share the habits and systems that help them live happily, healthily, and to achieve enormous success in their chosen fields. Thanks for being here. I do hope that you enjoy the episode. Hello there, and thank you for joining me today on this episode of the Habit Nerd podcast. It has been 8 months since I started this podcast at the time of recording, and I'm just sitting here reflecting upon that and thinking with a really deep sense of gratitude about all of you who have listened to a couple of episodes, who have listened to 40 plus episodes. I am so thankful for your engagement, for spending a little bit of time with me in your week. I hope that you're finding resonance with something that I'm saying or something that one of my magnificent guests is saying or has said on the podcast. I'm also sitting here in a deep sense of gratitude for the experts who have made time to sit and share their knowledge with me and with all of you as the listeners of the Habit Nerd podcast. Thank you to you who have shared the podcast, who have told your friends or your family about the podcast, who have liked shorts from the podcast or shared them on social media. It is having a huge impact on how many ears the podcast gets into. And if you haven't done that, if you haven't told somebody about it, shared it on your social media, even taken 15 seconds to give the podcast a quick review, I would be so thankful if you took a moment to do that, because in a saturated market, I am standing amongst so many giants in the self-improvement and education space. It's an enormous privilege to be able to carve some time out in my week to stand amongst these experts in recording this podcast, but you can probably understand it is sort of hard to get the message out there when there are so many other wonderful podcasts competing for the airspace, basically. So I really appreciate anything that you, my wonderful audience, can do in helping me perpetuate this message and get it even further. It is really my mission to help to make other people's lives better. I've always been lit up by education and knowledge being power. So I'm so delighted to be doing the work and want to be able to continue. Now, that said, today's episode is a little bit of a habit hack sheet with my top 10 best time management and productivity hacks. It's going to be a short episode and it's going to be fairly, sharp with just the 5 hacks. I'm using this as a lens with which to record to multi-passionate people. And that means people, of which all of you are, who are juggling multiple things. So be that work, paid work, volunteer work, friendships, hobbies, passions, responsibilities, family, all of the things that we are juggling. So I like to use examples that I hope will resonate with the listeners. And I hope that you find these 5 time management and 5 productivity hacks helpful. Again, if there's one that resonates with you, please do let me know on Instagram. I always love to hear from you with your feedback, both positive and constructive. Now, my first time management hack is a bit of a strange one. And this one is called Eat the Frog. Now, Eat the Frog is basically a way of saying, do the thing that you are avoiding first. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. There is a quote, a Williams James quote, that says there is nothing more fatiguing than the eternal hanging on of an uncompleted task. If there's something and it's a small thing and it's something you're avoiding, it is taking up way more brain space than you want it to. And that brain space is taking your cognition and your resources away from what it is that you would really like to do that day. So to eat the frog is basically to just tackle the thing that you don't want to do. Often this is a life admin task. It's not even a work task. It might be making the phone call to the insurance company. It might be changing your address on, a particular provider. It might be making the call to the accountant to get your appointment in the calendar. So it's just the thing that is hanging over your head that if you just got it out of the way, the rest of the day would run so much more smoothly. Now, that is actually the second benefit of eating the frog. Not only does it get the thing out of the way and free up crucial brain space for more important things, it also helps give you that quick dopamine hit that you can do hard things. You feel lighter because of it, and then the next task you do feels easier, and there's a momentum and a roll-on effect throughout your whole day. So an example of eating the frog might be you wake up 15 minutes earlier on Monday to tackle that insurance claim that you've been avoiding before your emails, before the school run, before everything. So it's just an example of getting it out of the way. Another hack I've got for you is the 2-minute rule. Basically, this means if something is hanging over your head and it's going to take less than 2 minutes, do it now. Our brain can only take so many mindless tasks swimming around, and you can imagine the mindless tasks take, as I said, the capacity to actually focus on the things that matter and the things that we want to do away. So if it's going to take less than 2 minutes, do it now. An example is I noticed a permission slip, a paper permission slip, which I know is unusual now, but it did happen in my daughter's school bag. I went into her school bag to check that all of her lunchbox containers were empty. She had given me her lunchbox, but sometimes she leaves her fruit container in there. So I was just walking past to do that job, and I noticed a permission slip in there. Now, it would have been really easy for me to either leave it there or to put it on the bench or the fridge or put it in the drawer, but it was going to take me less than 2 minutes in fact, it was going to take me less than 15 seconds. So I got it out, got the pen, signed it, put it straight back in her bag. That's an example of if it's going to take less than 2 minutes, do it now, and then it's done. Now, another hack I have for you is this idea of time blocking. I've talked about it in multiple contexts, but just a reminder, it's basically about doing something consistent as your life and responsibilities can allow in your calendar to block out for something that needs to be done, and it's only that thing. So don't multitask, just do that one thing. You might block out 7:30 till 8 p.m. every weekday, if that's possible for you, to prep for lunchbox and prep clothes for tomorrow. And basically in that 30 minutes, you have blocked that time. Your brain has made the association with that time. Therefore, the habit becomes easier. 7:30 till 8, you've got lunchbox prep happening. So you've got all the lunchbox out, you're peeling fruit, chopping vegetables, making sandwiches, whatever it is, and then ensuring that everybody's clothes are out for the next day, including yours. And really great if that can include every part of your clothing. So socks, underwear, shoes, accessories, so that you can go to bed a bit lighter. And obviously it's a gift to your future self for tomorrow when you wake up and your lunches and your clothes are all ready. You could, as a working parent, block out 1 hour every Saturday morning for deep work while your kids are otherwise engaged. For example, they might watch a movie or there might be an activity that they do, and you know that there is 1 hour of deep work for you every week to do that. So there are a couple of time blocked examples for home admin that you could you could do, but obviously there's, a whole range of time blocking that you could do for tasks at work as well. Now, another hack is I talk about the Pareto principle. I have talked about it in different podcast episodes before. Just a reminder, it is basically the 80-20 rule. So the Pareto principle says that what we do 20% of the time dictates 80% of our results. So an example would be for a busy parent is that you realize that prepping meals for the week and managing your calendar on a Sunday eliminates 80% of weekday chaos. So you focus on just those two things each week. So a 20% effort, so 20% is doing the meal prep. And I don't mean every meal. I don't mean preparing every breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I just mean having a list of basically what you will eat for dinner each night as best as you can, and perhaps having some parts of the meal already prepared, and having enough food in the fridge and in the pantry for lunches for the week, and make sure that breakfasts are well stocked as well. So spending that little bit of time on a Sunday eliminates 80% of stress around meals for the coming week. And the same can be said for managing your calendar. So spending a little bit of time managing that you've got everything color-coded in your calendar for the upcoming week for work and for family priorities means that it will eliminate 80% of stress with what are we doing today, where do I need to be, etc. So that is employing the Pareto principle. What can you do 20% that will have 80% buyback? And this is true for home and for work. Now, another one is batch similar tasks. Now, our brain loves patterns. What our brain doesn't like is switching between different contexts. It wastes cognitive resources, it wastes mental and physical energy. So the idea is batch similar tasks together. So I know myself with this podcast, I have Friday as my podcast day. I batch the morning for record. So I actually record my own episodes and guest episodes in the morning. And the afternoon, I spend time researching future episodes. So my brain really appreciates that I'm doing a like task all at once. So you might do this with your household as well. You might do all of your household admin, so bills and forms and appointments on a Wednesday evening, instead of scattering them all across the week. You might meal prep and plan your meals and do your shopping list all in one go on Sunday. So batch like tasks together. Not only does that help your brain make the association between that time and that job and makes it much easier to do, it also frees up all of the little pockets throughout the rest of the week where that one similar task could bleed over. And understanding too that to be multitasking is not a positive thing. To be doing multiple things at once or even back to back that are different, our brain does not like that. It wears itself out pretty quickly. So batch similar tasks. So far we've got eat the frog, we've got time blocking, we've got the 2-minute rule, we've got the Pareto principle, and batch similar tasks. So there are 5 time management rules. Now let's have a look at our 5 productivity rules. My first one is to set a daily top 3. Sometimes this is called your 3 most important tasks. Basically, an example is before checking your inbox, make sure you write down your top 3 priorities for the workday. So it will be manageable things that are realistically able to be done in that day. I write them on a physical notebook and I put a checkbox next to them, and they really do keep me accountable, and it's in a visible place next to me on my desk. So I am constantly returning to that and reminding myself that they are my top three, my most important tasks for that day. You focus on those before reacting to other tasks or other meetings. And then by the end of that day, you'd be surprised how good you feel because the tasks are done, but also good about your own sense of integrity because you did what you said you were going to do. And that sets you up for really great mindset and habit practices around your work. The second one I talk about all the time is the Pomodoro technique. It is a game changer for me. I have an app called Forest on my phone. And basically what that does is it times 25 minutes down and then an alarm goes off, and that means it's time to take a 5-minute break. The other best thing about an app like Forest is if you touch your phone, it kills a digital tree. So there's a forest by the end of the day. And if you touch your phone, if you go to write a text message or check social media, which, is a big productivity killer, we know, it actually, there's a consequence for that, which works for me. So the 25-minute timer, it might be to finish writing a project update. Then you have a 5-minute break to stretch away from the screen. And then you come back and you do another 25-minute cycle. The best part about it is that 25 minutes is really manageable. If you do start to feel your brain tire towards the end of that 25-minute mark, you know that a break is coming soon. And typically what I do on a clear day where I do have control over my calendar, I will do 4 Pomodoro cycles, so 4 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off before taking a lunch break, and then I will return to those. And it's amazing on those days just how much I get through. So set a daily top 3 and use the Pomodoro technique. Another hack I've got for you is to start before you're ready. Basically, this means if you've been avoiding starting a new project because you don't have the full brief or it feels really big and there are lots of parts to it, just start it. Because instead of waiting, if you can at least sketch out the structure, if you could draft some questions, if you could gather some resources, progress will start with that just one tiny step, and you'll be able to gain some momentum. That is excellent for your self-efficacy and the reward loop that you get for, okay, I actually started that thing that I was avoiding. And also it does mean that this task that feels enormous now feels much more manageable. So start before you're ready. Start before you think you are ready is a productivity hack I have for you. Now I just have 2 more. This one's a little bit strange, but it really does work for me. And it's creating a no list or creating an I don't list for yourself. It can be a physical list or it can be something that's almost just like an internal contract with yourself. But it might be things like no checking email until 10 a.m. So if you say, I don't check email until 10 a.m., not only is that a really good use of your time because you are more proactive instead of reactive and you're more responsive rather than, dealing with everybody else's problems, which is all an email inbox actually is. But it means that if you say you don't do it, that becomes part of the identity of who you are. So it would be unusual if you were on your email at 9 a.m. So that might be on your no list. It's certainly on my no list. I don't schedule meetings past 4:30 p.m. So this helps me transition to home calmly. So on my no list is no meeting scheduled past 4:30 p.m. You might have a no, I know I certainly do, no multitasking during online calls. So no having my phone open, no emailing, no writing lists during a Zoom call. It's much kinder to my brain, obviously much more respectful to the person that I'm meeting with or the group of people that I'm meeting with. But I find myself exhausted after Zoom meetings as it is. And if I have added different tasks to that meeting, then it just, it's so ineffective because the tasks I'm trying to do while the Zoom meeting's on don't get done. I don't remember what happened in the meeting and then I need to follow that up and I'm exhausted. So on my list is no multitasking during Zoom calls. I wonder what is on your no list. The boundaries really do help you stay focused and they help you protect your energy. So have a no list. And the last one is to minimize decision fatigue. Now, this can show up across your whole week in multiple contexts, but basically every time we make a decision, we need to cash in some of our cognitive resources, some of our mental energy. So if you think about the multiple decisions that you need to make on any given day, at work and at home, It's no wonder we go home absolutely exhausted by the time our head hits the pillow. So, where can you minimize decision fatigue? Some examples, a couple of uh, suggestions might be, could you create a weekly work wardrobe so that you know that there are, capsule pieces that you can go to in different combinations across a 10-day cycle, for example? Then you don't need to think about what am I going to wear? You know you've got it on rotation. Could you have a go-to lunch rotation so that your mornings are smoother? Are there 3 or 4 things that you like to prepare? You've got everything ready to prepare them, and you don't need to decide, oh, what do I feel like for lunch today? Now, where is everything that I need? How do I prepare that? What container do I need? What cutlery will I need to eat this with? What parts of the lunch? No, it's about reducing that decision fatigue, taking away what am I going to have? You already know. There are 100 different ways you can minimize decision fatigue at work, but it might be things like using templates for routine emails. So I know myself, there's sort of a pattern in some of the emails that I have to write, particularly in response to certain queries that I get. So I have those templated on my Outlook, and it just reduces my brain's need to make decisions each time. There might be templates for reports instead of having to reinvent the wheel every single time. So where can you minimize decision fatigue? All right, so just a reminder of my top 5 productivity hacks then. They were: use the Pomodoro technique, set a daily top 3, create a no list, start before you're ready, and as much as you can, minimize decision fatigue. All right, Habit Nerds, I hope you found that very short, very sharp episode helpful. Maybe there was a hack in there that you haven't tried and that you might like to give a go in the coming week. As I said, I would love to hear from you and about how you're going, and whether any of these hacks made a difference to your work or your home life. Until we meet again, catch up next time, take care everyone, and thanks for your company. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Habit Nerd. I hope you found some new inspiration, learned something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you did enjoy the episode, I would be really grateful if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it should only take you 5 seconds. If you're keen for more tips and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow Habit Nerd.